So what do you get? Well, obviously you get the box, you will get a sponge ball, you get 4 different coloured plastic balls and 3 extra ones, which we'll explain why in a moment. But the main ones you need are the 4, but let's have a look at the box. The box has 3 secret compartments, 2 in the base that are controlled through the holes here and your fingers going in, and a flap, which is here, which the flap goes down there and it can move over to here. Now, the flap is locked in place with a little piece of wire. So to make the explanation here easier, because we have black art principle going on, I'll take a piece of paper and pop it in, and it's against the flap. So the sponge ball will go behind the flap, closing the box, and the piece of white paper will allow you to see this. It's now locked in place. So at the end of the routine, when you come to release and produce the large sponge ball, your second finger goes in, pushes the piece of wire to the side. The pressure from the sponge ball will open the flap, pushing it forward, allowing your forefinger and thumb to reach in and produce the large ball. So let me just put that back in there. Oh, by the way, I put a slit in the sponge ball so that at the end of the routine, I can just pop it on my nose like that and finish. You don't have to do it that way, but it's a good idea. So it goes in, the slit downwards, so that when I produce the ball, it's just easy enough for it to go straight onto my nose. I don't have to go looking for the slit. So now it's locked in place behind the wire. So 4 balls, one of which goes in your pocket. Now, if you don't have pockets or don't want to use your pockets, you can have a container, a small box or a hat or something to one side and use that to make the ball go from there back into the box. But for the moment, I'll just pop it into my trousers pocket. So when you drop a ball in and turn the box the other way around, it vanishes into one of the 2 secret compartments at the bottom. So there's 2 balls on the bottom, and when you turn it the other way around, they disappear into the base, as you can see from here. So 2 fingers, just press gently against them, not too hard, gently against them. They are now locked in place. So by releasing pressure on one, the ball will appear in the box. So give the box a shake, there's nothing. Release one, you can shake the box and take the ball out. So they're concealed at the beginning of the presentation. 2 balls concealed in the bottom, the sponge ball concealed behind the flap, and 1 loose ball. It goes into the pocket, shake the box, releasing one, a ball comes out. Now, that can now go either into my pocket, or I can shake it back in the box, trap it with my finger and apparently take it out, but there's nothing there, and apparently pop it in my pocket, releasing the other colour, which comes out. So that's basically, you can do it as a colour change. So yellow ball goes into its compartment, release the other ball, and it comes out green. Now, when we reach the stage of a few balls having been put in the pocket, you can, as your hand goes into your pocket, you can take out one of the balls that are there concealing in your hand, and apparently, oh, there's nothing in the box, reach under my arm and produce it from there. Or, keeping it concealed in your hand, make the noise, trap the ball in the box and apparently tip it out, and it's the red one, or whatever other colour you happen to be using. For the finish, when all the balls have been put into the pocket or the container, and you're going to release the ball here, you look in, there's nothing, the audience can see nothing, as the second finger reaches in, pushing the piece of wire to one side. The flap pushes itself forward from the pressure of the ball. You reach in and take out the large ball, and if you're going to stick it on your nose, it's in exactly the right position. So you get 3 extra balls, one of which will match one of the colours of the standard set of 4. You get one of a different colour. You might lose one, or you might decide to incorporate it into a routine of your own, and 1 ball made up of 2 colours. So they're included because once you understand the way the routine works, you can add in extra colours. You could have different balls, maybe 1 or 2 hidden around the room. It's not back in the box, it's over there, it's behind the curtain or whatever. And you'll be able to improvise if you wish, or if you have any sleight of hand moves that you know that might use these, you can include them into the show as well, making it a little bit more magical. Roy Van Dyke, who was a very busy cabaret magician in England, when this the original box came out, he did it in his cabaret act. It's certainly a routine that lends itself to a lot of gags and patter and verbal gags to go along with the changing of the colours. Right, so we're ready to go. There is a ball, 1 ball in the pocket, put in a position where it's divided in my pocket, maybe with a handkerchief or something, so that it won't get mixed up with later on with the other balls. 2 balls loaded into the secret compartment, and 1 red ball loose in the box, and behind the flap is the large sponge ball held in place by the little piece of wire. Very low tech. So we start up. Here I have a box with nothing in it. Well, nothing in it except a ball, a red ball. Now the red ball goes into the pocket, and with the snap of the fingers, it appears back in the box. In the box. It's yellow. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll put the yellow ball in my pocket. In this case, actually, I just loaded it back into the compartment, but the yellow ball goes back into my pocket. It doesn't really. Snap of the fingers, release the other ball, the blue one. It's blue. Well, I mean, a moment ago it was yellow. I don't understand. I mean, I just dropped it in the box and it came out and it was blue. It's done it again. I don't believe it. The blue ball goes back into the pocket, and at this point now I'm stealing out the green ball and shake the box. Nothing there. I find the green ball under my arm or behind my knee, or holding it there concealed in my hand, releasing the ball in the box. It makes a noise, and bring my hand over and tip it out. Really, I'm just bringing my hand over, and as the box comes upside down, it looks like the green ball came out of the box. Drop it in, it goes into the secret compartment, it becomes yellow. The yellow ball goes in the pocket, a snap of the fingers, release the ball that's in the box, it comes out, it's green. I'm getting very perturbed at this point, so it's a last time. What was the colour we started with? We started with red. Okay, let's see if we can get the red ball back in the box this time. Snap of the fingers. And as I reach in, now you don't show the audience this, it'll be this way, but just my finger goes over, releasing the flap. The pressure from the sponge ball pushes the flap up. My forefinger and thumb reach in, take out the ball, and because it's been put in with the slit face down, I can just go straight up and pop it on my nose. Neville Wiltshire, a very busy magician in Ireland, doing children's shows, added in a pop-away wand. And his routine, he used to produce 4 balls that had apparently vanished at the end. Now, if you want to use Neville's idea, just go into a dollar store or a pound shop and just get some different coloured balls that are roughly the same size. And Neville had them in the bottom of a pop-away wand. It could be any tube, it doesn't have to be a pop-away wand. The pop-away wand was first brought out by Supreme Magic in 1972, invented by Maurice Phillips. And these days, the same wand is put out by Trixie Bond in America, and she calls it the Topsy Popsy wand. So Neville had 4 duplicate balls in there, and he had some extra long spring sausages. Now, you might say to me, oh, hang on a minute, Quentin, I don't have a pop-away wand. I don't have any extra long spring sausages. Why did Neville use those? Well, the reason Neville used them was because he had them at home and he was wondering what he'd do with them. And he just thought, oh, well, this would fit into the routine. So you may have some other comedy props lying around that you've been wondering what to do with, and that they might fit into the routine. Now, when you get to the end, you don't want the spring of the sausages cropping up. So you kind of put that one in sideways and push it down. And while you put the lid on, because you don't want the spring from the sausages, that kind of jams the sausages in place. Neville told me he would set it up before he went to do a show, and in his magic case it was just the same width as the wand, so it would be locked in place in his magic box until he needed it. So when he brings it out and he finds, as you will see in the instructions that come with the prop, that when you take it off and all the sausages fly out, and you look in, and now apparently the wand is empty. So later on, at the end of the routine, after he has produced the large ball, Neville rattles the wand, the children can hear it, and out pop the 4 balls from inside the wand. Now in this case, by the way, I've noticed the balls are made in 2 halves, and we put them together. If you happen to find that any of them do split, just a little piece of super glue around the edge there will leave them permanently locked in place so that they won't separate again. Now, again, this is just improvising. Neville also said to me that if you have 4 balls that you might use, you might go into a craft shop and find the white paper mache balls, which you can paint. And if you take a piece of wire and put it through them, this is an idea I believe came from Carol Fox, who used it at the end of a billiard ball routine, that you might have it maybe under your jacket or in a box, and you can reach in and just grab the whole lot at once and say, well, there they were in my jacket, or from wherever you want to produce them. It's just a thought. Neville's routine, in the printed instructions, he has a lot of gags and verbal gags that can be used in this routine, and indeed other routines, funny lines that can be used in other routines as well.
Quentin, on behalf of the magic community, the children's entertainers, maybe thank you for making this routine available again. I know it was very sought after when it was first released, and it's no wonder. You can see how versatile it is, and how many different performance areas that you could use it in, and how much fun can be gained from it. Where did you get the inspiration for it to begin with?
Well, the first trick I bought as a teenager from the Supreme Magic Company was a trick called Mad Mad Balls. It was invented by a magician from Bristol called Ernest Bradford. And it was basically the balls changing colour in a box. The black art effect wasn't great inside the box. It was okay, you could kind of flash the box, but you couldn't hold it up for people to have a look into. And the load at the end, the sponge ball, the large ball, had to be palmed out of your pocket and loaded into the top of the box, which I always felt was a bit uncomfortable because you were loading it in at exactly the wrong time. So the trick is like a perverse chop cup routine. Anyway, I did it a lot as a teenager, but I never felt fully happy with the loading of the ball in at the top. So thinking about it for a few years, I came up with the idea we need a flap. This could be made self-contained, and we could improve the black art principle. So around 2019, I made up a few for sale at a magic lecture, and they sold out very quickly. So I've had a few people asking for them. So I thought it's time to bring it back to the marketplace. The great thing about the trick is that it's practically totally self-contained. You get an awful lot of magic for very, very little work. And even people who are not hugely experienced in magic, or beginners looking for a children's show, or indeed an adult show, it gives you a lot happening with, as I say, with very little work. It lends itself to lots of gags. There's an awful lot of look, don't see, perverse magic happening. The trick is going wrong in spite of the magician, which always is intriguing for an audience, particularly a children's audience. Now, Ernest Bradford died, I think, in the late 60s. I haven't been able to find out exactly. I've spoken to a number of magicians from the Bristol area, including Tony Griffith, who's now in his 90s, and they don't remember Ernest Bradford at all. Ian Adair told me that he was very reclusive, obviously very active at one point if he helped found the Bristol Society of Magicians, but then he seems to have gone very reclusive. He made up a few tricks which he supplied to Supreme Magic Company, and the Mad Mad Balls was one of them. It's such a good trick, it's a shame for it to be lost, and fortunately I think now it's much improved, and if he was still around I think he'd be very happy with it.
Well, one of the things that strikes me in watching the performance and explanation of it is it's quite rare to get tricks, or valuable maybe the better word, that are totally in the hand and self-contained. I think of your mouse routine and certain rising wand and things like that. But when you don't need tables, you don't need larger props, and literally you can pick that up off your back table and go straight. It's particularly for people who work festivals or street shows, that kind of stuff, invaluable to have an in the hands fully fledged routine that plays so well and so large.
Yes, it is. It's very much an in the hands routine. And these days people are looking for a lot more things that don't need tables. You pick up the box, you're ready to go. Now, one thing I do emphasize is that when you're loading the box before the show, wait until just before you start the trick or before you start your show to close the flap with the box inside, because there isn't a lot of pressure put on the box with the 3-inch sponge ball, particularly the lighter sponges. But you don't want to, over time, affect the hinge, because that might stop it moved. If the hinge moved forward, it might stop the smaller balls coming in and out of the box easily. So that's the only thing with regard to that. It's a perfect trick, stand up, lots of comedy, lots of laughter, lots of fun, and loads of magic.
Yeah, I suppose the main takeaway, and maybe we'll wrap it up on this, is that the routine that we showed at the start of the video is your kind of core routine, if you like. And many people do this with Ambitious Card, for instance, where they'll have a core routine, but in the middle of it, they'll do what Mike Close used to call jazz magic. And this is certainly akin to that. I mean, you alluded to it in the explanation, but really your imagination and your own sense of your own performance is really the only thing that inhibits you in any sense in this routine.
Yes, absolutely. You can go off in many other directions. That's why I've included the extra 3 balls. But I would say to anybody starting the routine, learn the basics, the basic handling, and work that a little while, get the feel of it, get the rhythm. It's very hard to get the rhythm because we don't actually have it in front of a live audience, so you can see the reaction of the children. But as you do it for a while, you'll get a certain rhythm and helping to point the changes of the balls when they come out a different colour, how surprised you are. And one thing I'd point out as well, because we had to keep everything in frame for the camera, but when you're holding up the ball, when you're trying to look surprised yourself, it's actually funnier from your facial point of view if you're looking up rather than looking down. There's more expression on your face when you'd be looking up at the ball after it has changed colour than looking down. So keep that in mind as well. Also, and it was Neville Wiltshire who also pointed this out, and he's right, that when you're producing the big ball, it's important to build up the surprise. Like, look into the box and apparently see something amazing in there. Let that be seen on your face without over exaggerating it. Don't kind of go, just, oh, look at the audience, look in the box. You won't believe this. And then as you reach in and slowly take out the large ball.
Well, Quentin, once again, we want to thank you for making this routine available again to the Magic community, and I, for one, can't wait to pop it into my show. I'm sure there's many more watching will be enthusiastically rehearsing it to put it into their own. What are your final thoughts?
Well, we have a great routine here. It's not just a good trick, but it's a complete routine. It's a little mini act all on its own. There are very few tricks in magic that have so much magic happening with so little effort on the part of the performer or skill on behalf of the performer to do the trick. So the real skill here is acting out your double takes, your surprise, the perverseness that's going on around you. I could imagine Fred Capps doing something like this and how he would act out what's going on. But you have a trick here that's suitable for adults, that's suitable for children. That is very versatile. You can change it around any way you want once you understand the basic structure. And everybody playing with it, I wish you the very best of luck with it. And thanks to Ernest Bradford, who came up with the basic idea in the first place. Good luck.